Okay, hi guys, and welcome back to another review. This time we have the budget Shure Acoustics Tape Pro earphones from Shure Acoustics. The original tape earphones were super popular in the budget market, and now they seem to have came out with a sequel that refines things a little bit but keeps the price pretty much exactly the same. We are going to say there's the box. Nothing too interesting there. On the inside you have product catalogue and instruction manual, which nobody's going to read. You have a generic carry case, a little place to store tips on the inside. It's generic, but I do like that it uses the sealed zipper. I think that just adds a little bit more protection. Drop some water on it. This is the main accessories kit. You get a few different ear tips, which I'm not a big fan of, but you kind of need to use these, and I'll explain why. If I go ahead, I think I have an E-series tip or something on it just now. The bore on these, or see the lip of that nozzle right there, it's really wide, and you're going to need to use a wide bore ear tip with this, especially to get optimum sound. You can see here these are a far smaller bore, and it does affect the sound. That makes it kind of makes the highs a little bit too screechy. With wider bore, I find that the highs are a little bit more laid back, and there's not so much punch on the low end, which is already quite punchy. Along with that, you get these. There's two adaptations that you can make to it. You can switch out these little red screws with this included tool. You twist it out, replace it, and you can also change the filter tips if they get clogged up. Those make it a very bass forward headphone. I don't personally see myself using them. If you're somebody that listens to a lot of bass or bassy music as your predominant listening style, then by all means these are going to add a serious amount of low end thump to it. But you lose that versatility if you're somebody who listens to a little bit of bass, a little bit of EDM, a little bit rock, a little bit of classical, a little bit jazz, a little bit laid back music or something like that. You're best to stick with the stock setup. We'll talk about the cable first. I'll take off the earphones, which are of course connected via a 2-pin adapter or 2-pin connector, and the cable is incredible. Huge fan of the cable, and I'll show you why right now. There is the cable wrapped up. Place it down. Virtually tangle resistant. It's got very little memory in it. When you take it out, you can see very minor memory, like maybe one kink up here. For contrast, I'm going to show you the Campfire Audio Solaris cable. This comes on a $1,500, $1,600 earphone, and kinks all over it. Very prone to tangles. This one, you can see I've just put it out of the corner, pull it, and all the tangles just come free. Performs absolutely beautifully. I think it is a 16 strand. If you can see, there's tiny little strands in there, and I counted 8 of them in each one of these heat shrinks. So you have 8, 4 of each different color, 4 silver, 4 dark gray, and then they're wrapped inside a heat shrink, and then they're twisted into a second one, and it levels out into 8 strands into each earpiece. You have a 2-pin connector that sits flush with metal parts there, and there's no need for a strain relief on that because you have the ear guide that provides the strain relief. You have a tiny little plastic slider there, and a metal splitter again, which is good. You have the little Velcro cable tidy, which is always handy, little plastic strain relief there, and then a metal jack body with nice knurling on the bottom and the Shure logo. The big flaw on the cable comes down to who are you targeting with this earphone. This is a $129 earphone. This earphone comes with a 2.5mm balanced adapter, and I don't think a lot of people who are buying these earphones at this price is going to have something that has a balanced adapter on it, like an external DAC or something like that, external DAC or DAP or something. So for the majority of people, you're going to be forced into using the included 3.5mm adapter, which I've got here. And the problem with that was that it caused quite a bit of interference. I did like that it was a right angle and it was metal, but it did cause some weird sound. So I use the Tin Hi-Fi ones and it works just fine, but then look how long this is. I think when you're going to do something like this, this is an audiophile feature. This is something that people want on higher end earphones, but it's because they already own a DAC or an amp that is compatible with a balanced output. If you don't have a balanced output, which I think the majority of the people who are spending about $100 on an earphone, I think you would have been better off going with a 3.5mm standard jack adapter and then offering a 2.5mm cable maybe as an added extra or as an alternative. Have two options in the cart. Other than that, it's a beautiful, beautiful cable, and I can't really complain about it. It's just a strange choice for a cheap headphone. I know what they're trying to do. A lot of these Hi-Fi companies are introducing trickle-down technology from higher-end earphones, and with things like detachable cables, adjustable filters, and now this. It's definitely in the right direction, but the chances of somebody having a source that's compatible with that is probably 50-50 or even less. So the earphones themselves are an all metal body, and this is the thing, trying to get the ear tips on and off with that big lip is something else. They are, from the outside, very, very similar to the original Shure tape. I'm going to bring this light in a little bit more. Perhaps this light in a little bit. And then I'm going to drop both the lights on the ground. So, it's a very, very similar design. Those of you familiar with the originals will not be surprised here. They are an all-metal body. They have a venting port just here in the middle to let the drivers breathe a little bit. And they have these detachable screw-off nozzles where you can see the configuration of the nozzle bore, sort of off-center sitting with a tiny little tube. And what these have on the inside is they have an electrostatic driver and a dynamic driver, and they work in a hybrid form. So you get the bass coming from the dynamic driver, providing that impact, and then you get all this detail and speed coming from the electrostatic drivers. I think that's a very, very good idea. It's proven itself a number of times before, and in recent iterations I've been very impressed with these electrostatic drivers that are coming out of China. The thing with these is that they sound well above their price point. There's another earphone that sounds well above its price point in my eyes, and this is controversial, as it always is when something gets a hype train. The Tin Hi-Fi P1, in my eyes, is not a $150 earphone. I put it up in the sort of $500 range on sound, and I couldn't really care less what somebody thinks of that. I think it is incredibly fast, incredibly detailed, but it does require quite a lot of power to get the most out of it, and the build quality and other stuff is a little bit lacking. The original tape was another one of these earphones that punched well above its weight. I'm not going to say it's up there with where I rate the P1, but it's certainly worth more than the sum of its parts. And what they've done is they have taken the original tape and they have kept the same price, but they've made refinements, and they've made noticeable refinements in the way that the upper mid-range is more tamed. The highs are a little bit more refined. The upper mid-range was a little bit peaky at times on the original ones. These ones are far more smoothed out. It's got a prominent bass on it into a mid-range, which is detailed, tight. It sounds great with vocals, male and female vocals. It's got a very nice blending of the sound. Nothing takes too much prominence of each other. The mid-range does sit a tiny little bit back, but then the highs present this really nice treble, which provides a sound stage. The sound stage is it's a little bit narrow, but it's quite deep sounding. It sounds airy, but when you're listening, like vocals sounding to your head, whereas music instruments sound a little bit further away. Detail retrieval is exceptional. Big fan of the detail retrieval on this, especially for something tuned in this way, slightly more towards the more musical, warmer side of things. I would still say if you have a powerful source, that the Tin P1 are the ones to get. I think if you're playing these out your phone or out with just a simple little adapter or something like that, or out your computer, these are going to be an excellent little companion because I found them quite easy to drive. Really good earphones, great build, stunning cable that blows the hell out of a cable that comes with $1.50 earphone. Only flaw to note, caveat on the 2.5mm jack, and caveat on the flush setting 2.5, the flush setting 2-pin connectors, which I would prefer to see a recessed socket there, personal preference. If you are somebody that listens to a lot of middle range, various genres type thing, these will be a good option. And also if you have times where you like to get a little bit bassier, you like to, maybe if you're working out or something like that, you want something with more impact, you can go ahead and switch out the filters. All around just an excellent earphone, well worth the money at $130, $120 or something. Well worth that money, and an excellent update to the line from Shure, who are consistently proving themselves to be a very good company for budget audio buyers. So that's it for another review. I have reviews coming up of the Blon BL01, BL30, Campfire Audio Vega, Campfire Audio Dorado, both these Yunlu Mi players, gold planers, topping amps and DACs, all sorts of stuff is coming out in the next couple of weeks. So if you like that, please consider giving me a like and subscribe. I'm trying to get this to 100 subscribers now. That would be awesome. If you have any questions, you want me to do any videos directly comparing this to anything else that I've reviewed in the past, or anything else that you might be thinking of, I can try and get it in, do a direct comparison for you before you make a purchase. Remember that a lot of the opinions that I have on this are actually my opinions on the earphones, as opposed to trying to put them too much into somebody else's shoes and trying to justify why I like a headphone or not. I really like these, and if I didn't own more expensive earphones and this was the sort of money I was looking to spend, as I say, I would stretch myself with a Source, 100% my opinion. With a Source, I would stretch myself to the P1. Without a Source, I would buy these in a heartbeat. So, thanks very much for watching. Like, subscribe, and check you on the next review.